World War I. We know the name, we've seen the images, a conflict so vast its true scale is often underestimated. We're told of its battles and its end, but what did it really cost the world? What if everything you thought you knew was just the surface? Beyond the well-known narratives lies a brutal accounting of human suffering, economic ruin, and political upheaval that fundamentally remade our planet. Today we're diving deep into the precise, devastating price paid by every major nation involved, ensuring no number is left out, no lasting impact unexamined. Get ready because the echoes of this devastation are far more profound than you can imagine. Let's start with the most tragic cost: human lives. The scale is almost impossible to comprehend. Globally, we're looking at an estimated 8.5 to 10 million military deaths across all sides. But let's break that down, and nation by nation. Germany bore an immense burden, losing around 2 million military personnel. For France, the devastation was particularly acute, with 1.4 million soldiers killed, a staggering proportion of its young male population. The Russian Empire suffered approximately 1.7 million. The Austro-Hungarian Empire saw 1.1 million soldiers perish, and the United Kingdom lost between 700,000 to 800,000. Even Italy, joining later, sacrificed 650,000 lives, and the United States, despite its late entry, lost 116,000 soldiers. The Ottoman Empire suffered significant casualties in World War I, with an estimated 325,000 deaths, including 85,000 combat-related deaths and 240,000 deaths due to disease. But the trenches weren't the only killing fields. An estimated 4 to 10 million civilians died from starvation, disease, and direct acts of war. In 1914, around 500,000 civilians died. That number jumped to 1 million annually from 1915 to 1917, reaching 1.5 million in 1918. From the Ottoman Empire's tragic civilian losses, including the Armenian genocide, to the millions impacted by widespread famine exacerbated by the Allied blockade on Germany, this was total war, sparing no one. Beyond the human cost, the war devoured resources on an unimaginable scale. Let's talk about the sheer material destruction. Artillery, the king of the battlefield, was used relentlessly, with an estimated 100 million shells fired by the British and Canadian armies alone. The German field artillery is said to have fired 222 million rounds. Artillery was a major cause of casualties, with 60% of battlefield deaths attributed to artillery fire. The destructive power of artillery was significantly greater than ever before, resulting in widespread destruction of the landscape and infrastructure. While annual production and loss figures are hard to pin down precisely, we know that by the war's end, hundreds of thousands of artillery pieces were produced and used. On the Western Front alone, a mind-boggling 1.3 billion artillery shells were fired. Imagine the factories, the mines, the sheer industrial effort dedicated to this single destructive purpose. Tanks, a new terrifying weapon, first saw significant action in September 1916 during the Battle of the Somme, with only 50 to 100 produced and deployed that year. By 1917, Allied production surged to about 1,000 tanks, and in 1918, a massive 3,000 were produced and sent to the front. Overall, the Allies built approximately 4,500 tanks, while Germany, surprisingly, only produced around 20. Most of these were lost or damaged in the brutal fighting. And what about the workhorses of the war? Horses were absolutely vital for transport and logistics. Millions were mobilized. Annual losses were staggering, approximately 200,000 to 500,000 in 1914, then nearly 1 million per year in 1915 and 1916, followed by 800,000 in 1917 and 700,000 in 1918. Across all sides, an estimated 8 million horses perished from disease, exhaustion, hunger, or combat, a forgotten yet immense sacrifice. The skies also saw a revolution. Aircraft production soared from mere hundreds in 1914 to tens of thousands by 1918. In total, around 170,000 planes were produced by all belligerents, with at least half being lost in combat or accidents. Cars and trucks, initially thousands in use, rapidly became tens of thousands by 1916 to 1918. crucial for logistical support. France alone produced around 90,000 trucks, with the AEF, American Expeditionary Forces, using 274,000 vehicles in France alone. The German army averaged around 25,000 trucks in service, and combined, hundreds of thousands were built, suffering substantial losses due to damage, destruction, or obsolescence to intensive use and lack of maintenance. And the oceans? Submarine warfare was brutal. In 1914, around 100 ships were sunk. That number jumped to 500 in 1915, 700 in 1916, a peak of 1,500 in 1947, 1917, and 800 in 1918. Hundreds of warships and thousands of merchant ships met their end beneath the waves. This level of destruction came with an unimaginable financial bill. The total direct cost of the war for the main belligerents was an estimated $180 billion. In 1913, US dollars is equivalent to roughly $485 billion today. Let's break that down annually. Beyond the numbers, the war was a political earthquake that shattered old orders and gave birth to entirely new ones. Germany lost 13% of its European territory, including resource-rich Alsace-Lorraine and all its overseas colonies. The humiliating Treaty of Versailles imposed severe military restrictions and punitive reparations, dismantling the monarchy and birthing the fragile Weimar Republic. This profound national resentment was a ticking time bomb, the seeds of future conflict. France, while victorious, was scarred. Its industrial and agricultural heartlands were literally obliterated by years of fighting. The staggering demographic toll, 1.4 million military deaths, meant a lost generation, leaving a deep desire for security and a punitive stance towards Germany that shaped interwar politics. The United Kingdom lost its global economic leadership to the US and faced massive indebtedness. Its empire, though expanded with new mandates from the dissolved Ottoman Empire, saw rising nationalist movements, particularly in Ireland, which gained partial independence, signaling the long decline of imperial power. But nowhere was the transformation more dramatic than in the empires that utterly collapsed. The Russian Empire, weakened by war and internal strife, imploded in 1917. The February Revolution dethroned the Tsar, and the October Revolution brought the Bolsheviks to power, leading to Russia's exit from the war via the punitive Treaty of Brest-Litovsk and the eventual formation of the Soviet Union. Its immense military losses, coupled with millions of civilian deaths from civil war and famine, ushered in a radical new era for 1/6 of the world's landmass. The Austro-Hungarian Empire, a vast multinational mosaic, simply disintegrated. Its 1.1 million military deaths were compounded by internal nationalist pressures, leading to the creation of independent nations like Austria, Hungary, and Czechoslovakia, profoundly redrawing the map of Central Europe. The Ottoman Empire was also dismembered. Its hundreds of thousands of military and civilian deaths, including the tragic Armenian genocide, culminated in the Treaty of Sèvres, stripping it of vast territories. From its ashes rose the Republic of Turkey, but the redrawing of its Middle Eastern lands into British and French mandates created a legacy of instability that persists to this day. Even Italy, despite its victory and 650,000 military deaths, felt shortchanged by the peace settlements. This mutilated victory, coupled with severe economic struggles and social unrest, fueled deep resentment and paved the way for the rise of fascism under Benito Mussolini in 1922, marking the chilling birth of the first totalitarian regime in 20th century Europe. Only the United States, entering late, emerged with comparatively low casualties, 116,000 military deaths, and a booming economy. It transformed from a regional power to a global leader, though its subsequent return to isolationism ultimately weakened the post-war international order that Woodrow Wilson had championed. We want to hear your thoughts. Share your insights and let's spark a powerful, meaningful discussion in the comments below. If this video made you think deeply, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the events that shaped our collective human story. Until next time, stay curious and keep questioning.